Greetings. This time coming from an incredibly hot room. After some deliberation on my part after the 3 videos that I made about Asmongold. Well, first of all, I realized that I didn't put tags in my videos, which was a bit of an embarrassing rookie mistake. But also, at the same time, I don't regret that I was mean to you, but I do regret the fact that I made it too much about Asmongold, I think, when I really should have been making it more about the puberty blockers themselves. Because I really need to make the case really deeply, from really early on, which, by the way, the attention span of a human these days is less than a goldfish. Pay attention. I decided that since this is a very important topic, and since this is a very, very much a topic where facts are actually on my side, it just seems like a lot of people just don't seem to understand that because they've been poisoned. And what I mean by poisoned is that their wells have been poisoned. Their wells have been poisoned by the likes of, well, as mentioned before, Asmongold, who likes to claim that giving puberty blockers to children is grooming, despite them being given to children even when they're cis, for very good reasons, like precocious puberty, things of that sort. And then it's also poisoned by people that are exceptionally prevalent in like British cultures, like that one woman who palled around with Nazis and stuff in Australia, I think. A TERF, basically, a trans exclusionary radical feminist, which is not a thing. You can't be a feminist and exclude some women and only accept some. I decided I'd cut through the bullshit because I decided that, well, if I do look for the evidence, I know I will find what I need to find. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a research video. Pretty much not like a kind of research video that you're probably used to, because I'm doing it with a webcam and I'm doing it pseudo live, you know, because I've already found the stuff, basically, that I thought was interesting in accordance to this topic. And I thought I would explain it further, because I really do feel like a case needs to be made on this topic so that further confusion is no longer made. Now, since Asmon didn't actually make any arguments in his video that started all of this on my end, I won't be looking at whatever the hell he said. Instead, I'm gonna be tackling the common sentiments in my comments section, which I will not be reading to you this time. Instead, I will just be addressing them with the evidence. This sentiment was basically just medical age of consent and like how, oh, children can't consent to anything, ever, which is something I disagree with pretty strongly. I don't know how the hell kids can't consent to anything medical when, if that's the case, then why are we subjecting them to anything medical? Anyway, let's go. Let me change the scene here. Bam. Let's go here. An interesting thing that I found for when Googling verbatim, are there documented cases of adverse reactions to puberty blockers? AI did not provide any answer. I didn't know what this was at first. I thought this was like a joke clinic because of the name, Mayo Clinic. What the hell? But apparently no, this is like a world-renowned thing, Institute of Health, basically. And I will be looking at this source over here. I have it open, but like that's like the one from very few objective sources that came from this search result. The second one that came was a congress.gov website. Probably shouldn't click on that. Just a general rule for anybody curious. Never, ever, 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 ever take your scientific evidence from a government website or a political website or a news website. Children on puberty blockers saw mental health change. This is, by the way, also not necessarily negative, but whatever. In fact, let us check since we're doing research right now. So what does this say? Children on puberty blockers saw mental health change. New analysis. The majority of children in a landmark study, puberty blockers, experienced positive or negative changes in their mental health. New analysis suggests. Oh, so it's just saying changes. 34% saw their mental health deteriorate. What? Well, 29% improved, where GnRHA treatment for adolescents with gender dysphoria has been deemed low quality by the UK National Institute of Healthcare Excellence. Fuck. You gotta become really politically savvy when you're in this environment, by the way, because the UK National Institute of Health cannot be trusted on this. The UK government is very against this type of thing, so it can't be trusted to treat this with like the utmost caution, just as a heads up. So what I'm gathering from this whole thing is that it's, well, you can go read it yourself, it's a lengthy ass fucking read, but basically, one time there was a report, it was shit, and it tried to demand for control groups on on transgenderism, which is like, you can't do that. And then they tried to ask trans kids after like using puberty blockers, if they were still depressed. And a lot of them concluded that they've either they were still depressed, or like their mental health hadn't changed much, or they'd become more depressed. But like, that doesn't prove anything. Like, listen, children on puberty blockers saw mental health change. This is the stupidest fucking article considering that, because this is not true. They were depressed for other reasons. Puberty makes you depressed. I mean, hell, puberty makes you depressed, and the fucking world might also make you depressed because you're also fucking trans and all that. It just wasn't taken into account. So, like, saying that, like, oh yeah, children on puberty blockers saw mental health change, new analysis, it's like, this feels like just fear-mongering on the whole, like, oh, well, what if negative influences thing? No, listen. I read the whole study, you can go and read it yourself. It's nothing. It basically, it should have no impact on your views on this. So that was that, basically. Well, what about this one then? What are you saying? No evidence that transgender interventions are safe for children. Okay, well then I dismiss you on your face. like, listen, look at this. This here, Congress.gov, definitely biased. BBC, biased. As I proved it right there, was fucking biased. This, clearly biased. No evidence? Okay, sure. This seems to be biased, but in the other direction. Another BBC article. And then there's the National Institutes of Health over here in the fucking bottom here. And then Ministry of Health and Healthline. Oh my god, look at this. The scientific papers are at the fucking below of the whole thing. It's before that is fucking Congress and BBC and American College of Pediatrics. Wow. That was the point that I wanted to make in the first place. Like, finding information about this topic is poisoned. It's poisoned to shit. It's explained here in Mayo Clinic. The one source that I considered, it was at the top of the list, but at the same time also, it was then later on like this source was followed by all of those biased sources. Let's look at the top result, which was also a scientific healthcare institute thing, which I didn't know about before, but now I do. The name sounds like a joke. It's not, it seems. In fact, Mayo Clinic is a global leader in medical care research and education, known for its integrated not-for-profit medical group practice. Right, so it seems to be a pretty damn good place to look. So what does it say? What do puberty blockers do? When taken regularly, GnRH analogs stop the body from making sex hormones. That includes testosterone and estrogen. Sex hormones affect primary sex characteristics. These are the genitals. Only conservatives would care about the size of those, by the way. So if you're concerned about that, and it's not your genitals that you're concerned about, rethink your priorities. Secondary sex characteristics, these are the appearance changes I would get from my HRT later on when I get it. Like kids and stuff. What are the possible benefits of puberty blockers? Gender identity is the internal sense of being male, female, neither, or some combination of both. Gender dysphoria is a feeling of distress that can happen when gender identity differs from a person's sex assigned at birth or from sex-related physical characteristics. Some transgender and gender diverse people experience gender dysphoria, others do not. For transgender and gender diverse youth who have gender dysphoria, delaying puberty might improve mental health being, obviously, ease depression and anxiety, obviously, improve social interactions with others, pretty important that, lower the need for future surgeries. Wouldn't you like that, conservatives? Ease thoughts of or actions of self-harm. Like I've said in my past videos, taking puberty blockers alone, however, without other medical or behavioral treatment might not be enough to ease gender dysphoria or sufficient in general. What are the criteria for use of puberty blockers? So this is like the process to getting there. So I will be showing you here, people in my comments, that this is actually not that easy to get into, and it's not just given willy-nilly, and you shouldn't be that scared. In most cases, to begin using puberty blockers, an individual needs to show a lasting pattern of gender nonconformity or gender dysphoria. So you're not just giving them to kids that suddenly feel like being a boy or suddenly feel like being a girl. That's not happening. Calm down. Have gender dysphoria that began or worsened at the start of puberty. So like that also. I don't feel like we should let the dysphoria increase before we do something about it. You know, being a little preventative might be a good idea, which is what the video that I was defending in my Asmongold making fun of video, that's what that was positing, basically. It was talking about the medical age of consent and how it should be, if it was generally more lenient, we could have preventative measures for the dysphoria before it even gets worse. Because this is a real thing that happens, by the way. Like, this whole thing is a real thing. You gotta get that also in your head. So this is another criteria for use of puberty blockers. Address any psychological, medical, or social problems that could interfere with the treatment. Be able to understand the treatment and agree to have it. This is called informed consent. Right. This isn't being pushed onto children either. You gotta get that also in your head. In most cases, youth aren't old enough to get medical treatment without a parent, guardian, or other caregiver's permission. This is called medical consent. For those who haven't reached the age of medical consent, a parent, guardian, or caregiver often needs to agree to the use of puberty blockers. Parent and family support and encouragement also has been shown to be an important part of boosting mental health and well-being throughout this treatment. Right. But then comes the Nyara video, where a question is posited. What if the parents don't consent? What if the parents are TERFs that don't want this to happen, that try to prevent this from happening, that are trying to force the person that they call their child to suffer because of their own preconceived notions? What if that happens? Because people have ideological differences, and this, like, obviously this needs to be taken into account. So what do we do then? If parental consent cannot be gotten, what do we do then? We just throw away the possible benefits of this treatment for the child and just say, well, the parents said not to, so I guess they'll just suffer now. That was the point. Okay? That was the point. And then here's one of the main contentions that I got, which is, are the changes permanent? A lot of people said that apparently they are irreversible changes, harmful predominantly, but irreversible mostly. Let's see if that's true. This is Mayo Clinic saying their piece about it. They are respected. Okay, let's see what they say. GnRH analogs, which are the puberty blockers, don't cause permanent physical changes. Instead, they pause puberty that offers a chance to explore gender identity. It also gives youth and their families time to plan for the psychological, medical development, social and legal issues that may lie ahead. When a person stops taking GnRH analogs, puberty starts again. Right. Listen, I understand that it's difficult to read scientific literature, but gotta develop this skill. Like, it's gonna be really important in the future. We are in the post-truth era. When does treatment usually start and end? This was also a thing that was talked about. In general, puberty begins around 10 or 11, though it may start earlier or later. The effect of puberty blockers depends on when a person begins to take the medicine. Yeah, of course. A GnRH analog treatment can begin at the start of puberty to delay the development of secondary sex characteristics in slightly later stages of puberty. The treatment could be used to stop menstruation or erections, also may prevent further development of secondary sex characteristics. While many people take the medicine for a few years, everyone is different. After delaying puberty for several years, some teens might decide to stop taking puberty blocking medicine, or they may start taking hormones that match their gender identity. This is called gender-affirming hormone therapy. Right. The deliberation period is not less than a few years. Even this says that everyone is different, but only mentions the ones that go beyond the few years. It doesn't mention the people that go below, which makes me think that it's even lesser. So it's probably not a thing to be freaking out about. What are the possible side effects and complications? Okay, here we go. Possible side effects, swelling at the site of the shot, nobody cares. Weight gain, it's a kid, nobody cares. Hot flashes, I think I had that when I was a kid on just normal instances. Headaches, same thing. Mood changes, and yeah. Okay. I mean, it has to deal with puberty, but also, at the same time, that's the thing, isn't it? This mood changes thing, that was the thing that the BBC article tried to say that, it was apparently, worthy of an entire article. Holy shit. Really? And then they cited something that, showed that, oh yeah, by the way, people who go through this, they're still depressed afterwards. It's oh no, that's not... It didn't fix it. It's it may have not fixed it, but it probably also made it so that it didn't worsen. Use of GnR analogs might also have long-term effects on growth spurts. I'm not heightist on anyone else except myself, so it doesn't matter. Bone growth. Kind of a same response from me, honestly. But also, you can... And bone density, yeah, these are the bone growth and bone density that you can supplement these. And also drink milk. Fertility, depending on when the medicine is started. But also, if the person is trans, they don't care about fertility. Not necessarily. Everyone is different, though. If an individual assigned male at birth begin using GnRH analogs early in puberty, they might not develop enough skin on the penis and scrotum to be able to have some types of gender-affirming surgeries later in life, but other surgery approaches usually are available. Well, conservatives wouldn't be concerned about that. Those who take GnRH analogs typically have their height checked every few months. Yearly bone density and bone age tests may be advised to support bone health. Youth taking puberty blockers may need to take calcium and vitamin D supplements. Right. It's important to stay on schedule with all medical appointments. Between appointments, contact a member of the health team, healthcare. Anyway, what other treatments are needed? Okay, let's see. Assessment and counseling by a behavioral healthcare professional can help youth and their families as they move through the decision-making process about puberty blockers. Behavioral health care also is an important source of support while taking puberty blockers. Talking about an individual's gender identity with teachers, school staff, and staff in other organizations in which the youth is involved also may help ease social adjustment during this time. After a time of adjusting to puberty blockers and confirming gender identity, gender-affirming hormone therapy might be an option. This can develop masculine or feminine secondary sex characteristics to help better align the body with an individual's gender identity. Some of the changes triggered by gender-affirming hormone therapy cannot be reversed. Others may require surgery to reverse. Yeah, after gender-affirming hormone therapy. But that's the thing, they can't be reversed. We went through the whole thing here. There's a whole process before we get to this. It's not impressionable children given a choice that they can't make, okay? They are given ample time. And that's that. I consider that to be a pretty important piece of information right there. A lot of information. A lot of information. I literally read through an entire study in that. So I would sincerely hope that this would at least give you some kind of perspective on just how poisoned the well is and why you may think that you were in the right when commenting on one of my Asmongold videos that just because I want trans kids to have puberty blockers I'm suddenly a groomer or a pedophile. Thing is though, I can make a few points on that too. Grooming. A cis hetero person is telling me that I'm a groomer for promoting individual agency for children because I'm not telling them to be straight and cis, unlike all media, basically. All media out there is talking about like, oh yeah, straight people are this, straight people are that, and yet straight people act like such victims regardless. But that's besides the point. Everywhere like trans people are like mentioned also, it's just like people get so up in arms about it. Like it's like, we exist, man. Is that so difficult to understand? Like, just because you want everything to be black and white and hetero and cis doesn't mean that everything's going to be that way. You just gotta, honestly, you just gotta get with the times, Grandpa. It sounds condescending, and I am, but you're not even looking at the stuff that I'm talking about, or you're talking about. You people really need to get some media literacy on you. Okay? Especially when, how many trans kids are there? Studies estimate that around 300,000 youth aged 13-17 identify as transgender in the US. 300,000. What is the population of America? Right, so that's like barely even a percent. Like, this is such a niche area that has just been blown out of proportion to be like, oh yeah, isn't this terrible? How is it terrible? Like, people don't understand it because it's just so niche. There's so little of them. And then it leads to things like this. It leads to things like this. More than 40% of transgender adults in the US have attempted suicide. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is when, like, the whole world is looking at you like you're a freak and denying your lived experience? Like, it's so not an issue where you can just kind of say whatever. You make people lose their lives. You should not advocate for positions that you don't understand. Especially if you have a platform like Asmongold, like who I railed against in my videos. He's a millionaire with the stuff that he's managed to get from the internet and his fame on it. And that kind of thing needs to be taken seriously. I'm not just a person who's raging here against like a bunch of fucking incels that took the time to watch an Asmongold video and decided, oh yeah, I guess they really all are pedophiles. That's like the least of my worries, the fact that people are stupid. I mean, it's still a worry, but the biggest issue really is Asmongold doing this. You can be manipulated in either direction because you're a viewer, but Asmongold, all he does is ride the wave and poach every endangered fish along the way. So I guess you can just decide what to do yourself. Are you gonna follow suit, be a poacher, or are you just going to be responsible?